You've been told that wanting to be alone is strange, that not enjoying visitors means something is wrong with you, but perhaps it means something very different. There is a space inside you that is sacred. Not everyone is meant to enter it. Your home, your room, your quiet corner, these are not just walls and furniture. They are an extension of your mind, a reflection of your inner world. When someone steps into that space, they do not just cross your doorstep, they cross into your soul. And your soul does not open its doors carelessly. You feel drained after certain visits, not because you are cold, but because you have learned that energy is not infinite. Some people leave behind warmth. Others leave behind noise that takes hours, sometimes days, to clear away. So you have grown careful. You have learned to guard the quiet that keeps you whole. This is not rejection. It is preservation. You are not shutting the world out. You are letting your inner world breathe. In silence you find clarity. In solitude you meet yourself, and the more you know yourself, the less you tolerate anything that feels false. This is why uninvited conversations feel heavy, why meaningless chatter tastes like dust in your mouth. It is not that you dislike people. It is that you crave depth. You hunger for truth, and truth is not something that arrives in a crowd. The soul whispers. It speaks in moments of stillness. It asks for your attention in the language of quiet. So do not be ashamed if visitors unsettle you. It may be a sign that you are living close to your center, that you are protecting what is most alive within you. Some will misunderstand. Let them. Your path was never meant to be paved with constant company. It was meant to be lit by the steady flame of your own presence. And when the time comes for connection, you will open the door, not out of obligation, but because the moment, the person, and the truth feel worthy of the space you've kept so carefully. Until then, you are not missing out. You are growing roots, and the deeper they go, the stronger your soul becomes. Solitude is not isolation, it is the soil where the soul grows. There is a difference between being alone and being lonely. Most people confuse the two. Loneliness is the hunger for connection. Solitude is the choice to sit with yourself. One feels like an empty room with locked doors. The other feels like an open field under the sun. When you choose solitude, you are not rejecting the world. You are choosing to face the mirror inside you, and that takes courage, because when the noise fades, when no one is there to distract you, you hear what your mind has been trying to say. At first it can be uncomfortable. All the thoughts you've avoided rise to the surface. All the feelings you've pushed down ask to be felt. But this is where growth begins. No one becomes strong by running from themselves. No one finds peace in constant company. There is a strength that only silence can give you. It is not loud. It is not dramatic. It is the slow, steady building of roots beneath the soil. When you are always surrounded by people, your roots spread sideways, always touching others, never going deeper. But when you stand still in solitude, the roots begin to grow down, deep into the earth of your being, searching for the water that only you can find. That water is truth. It is clarity. It is knowing who you are without an audience. Some people fear this, because once you taste that water, you cannot go back to living on the surface. You stop needing constant validation. You stop chasing the noise that once kept you distracted. This is why solitude can be misunderstood. To those who fear being alone, it looks like withdrawal. To those who are still searching for themselves, it looks like distance. But solitude is not running away. It is walking inward. It is the training ground of the soul. Think about a seed. It begins in darkness, buried deep in the ground. No one sees its struggle. No one claps for its effort. But under the surface, it is building the strength to break through. Your soul is the same. It needs the quiet soil of solitude to grow. It needs the darkness where no one is watching, so it can push against the weight of its own limits. This is not glamorous work. No one will applaud your hours spent thinking. No one will post about your evenings alone. But when you return to the world, you will carry something rare: depth, presence. A stillness that cannot be shaken by noise, because you have faced yourself and you have not turned away. Solitude teaches you patience. It teaches you to hear your own voice without mistaking it for the echoes of others. And once you hear it clearly, you begin to trust it. This trust is the foundation of everything. Without it, you are swayed by every opinion. You are pulled in every direction. You are at the mercy of other people's storms. But with it, you can stand in the middle of chaos and know who you are. Solitude gives you that. It is not a punishment. It is a privilege. The world will tell you to fill every space, to keep moving, to keep talking, to keep showing up. But your soul will tell you something else. It will tell you to stop, to listen, to be still. Because in stillness, you are not losing time, you are finding yourself. And when you know yourself, you are no longer afraid of the silence. You begin to welcome it, you begin to crave it, not because you dislike people, but because you finally understand that no one can give you the ground you can grow for yourself. Solitude is the soil. You are the seed, and every quiet moment you choose is another root that will hold you steady when the storms come. The discomfort with visitors often reveals a deep need for authenticity in connection. After you've spent enough time in solitude, you begin to notice something. The kind of company you can bear becomes smaller. You used to fill your days with anyone who was available. Now you find yourself craving something different. It's not that you dislike people. It's that the surface level exchanges feel heavier than they used to. You notice when someone talks at you instead of with you. You notice when they speak from habit, not from the heart. And this noticing changes everything. It makes certain visits exhausting. It makes small talk feel like sand in your mouth. Because after tasting truth in your own company, falsehood becomes harder to swallow. You no longer have the patience to nod politely while someone hides behind a mask. It's not arrogance, it's hunger, a hunger for authenticity, for the kind of presence that doesn't drain you when they leave. When you sit with someone who is real, you feel lighter. You feel seen. You feel the quiet in your chest stay calm. But when you sit with someone who is just performing a version of themselves, you feel the air change. Your body tenses. Your energy begins to leak away. That's why the idea of visitors no longer excites you the way it once did. Because not everyone comes to share life. Some come to escape their own. And when you've done the work of facing your own shadows in solitude, you can feel when someone is running from theirs. You can feel when they bring noise instead of presence. So you protect your space, not to be unkind, but because you have learned that the soul cannot bloom in counterfeit sunlight. The conversations you want now are the ones that open doors, not the ones that close them. You want to talk about what matters. You want to hear silence between words and know it's not awkwardness, it's comfort. You want to feel like the person sitting across from you isn't wearing armor, that they're not trying to sell you an image, that they're willing to be a little bit unpolished, a little bit raw, because you are. And when you've stripped away so many of your own false layers, you stop being able to pretend with others. This is why your circle gets smaller. Why some people you used to see often now feel like strangers. It's not because you think you're better. It's because the version of you that could tolerate empty company no longer exists. Solitude taught you that life is too short for conversations that go nowhere. It showed you that energy is a currency, that every moment you give someone is a part of your life you will never get back. So you've learned to spend it wisely. This doesn't mean you avoid all visitors. It means you notice the weight they bring. Some people walk through your door carrying light. They leave more than they take. Their presence lingers in a good way like fresh air in a room. Others bring their storms inside and leave you cleaning up long after they've gone. When you've lived long enough with yourself, you start choosing the weather you allow in. And maybe this makes you harder to reach, but it also makes you more alive when you do reach back. You can give more because you are no longer giving to everyone. You can be fully present with someone because you're no longer splitting yourself across endless, shallow connections. And this is the quiet truth. The discomfort you feel with certain visitors is not a flaw, it's a compass. It points you toward the connections that feed your soul and away from the ones that starve it. Our outer space mirrors our inner space. Guarding it is an act of self-respect. The space you live in is not just walls and furniture. It is a reflection of your mind, a mirror of your inner life. If the inside of you is restless, your space will feel unsettled. If the inside of you is calm, your space will breathe with you. This is why some visits feel disruptive, because they don't just enter your home, they enter your atmosphere, and your atmosphere is fragile. You've spent time shaping it, making it a place where your thoughts can flow without being drowned out by noise. Every book on the shelf, every plant by the window, every chair you choose to sit in, they carry a certain energy. Your energy. So when someone steps into that, they don't just see your life, they touch it. And not everyone treats that lightly. Some people bring care when they enter your space. They match the pace. They notice the details. They move as if they know they're stepping into a part of you. Others walk in carrying their chaos. They drop it like luggage in the middle of the room, and after they leave, the air feels different. The quiet you worked to build is harder to find. This is why guarding your space matters. Not because you're cold, not because you think you're above others, but because you understand something most don't, the way your environment shapes your spirit. If your home is peaceful, you carry that peace into the world. If it's chaotic, you carry that too. The outer space is the container for your inner space. If you let just anyone pour into it, the water inside you will not stay pure. You have the right to be intentional about who crosses that threshold. This isn't about building walls. It's about building doors that open for the right reasons. You wouldn't leave your front door open for strangers to wander in and rearrange your life. Why would you leave your mental space open for anyone to clutter? When you're younger, you might not see it. You invite everyone, you make room for every presence, because you don't yet know the cost. But over time, you begin to notice how much energy you spend reclaiming your atmosphere after someone has been in it. You notice how long it takes to return to the rhythm you had before. That's when you start guarding it, not with anger, but with quiet resolve, because you realize the space around you is part of your healing, part of your stability, part of your growth. And if that's true, then letting it be disrupted carelessly is a form of self-abandonment. So you choose differently. You invite those whose presence feels like harmony. You limit those whose presence feels like static. Some will take this personally. They'll think you're avoiding them, but what you're really doing is protecting the life you've built from being pulled into a storm you didn't create. Your space is not just a place to live. It is a sanctuary, and sanctuaries are not open to all traffic. They are kept, tended, respected. When you honor your environment, you are telling yourself, I am worth living in peace. And when you live in that peace, you don't just keep it for yourself, you radiate it. Every time you protect your space, you are strengthening the ground beneath your feet. Every time you allow the wrong presence to disrupt it, you are weakening it. So you choose carefully, not because you want to control everything, but because you finally understand that your outer world is not separate from your inner one. They move together, they breathe together. And the way you treat one will always show in the other. Guarding your space is not selfish. It is self-respect. Withdrawal is not rejection, it is preparation for deeper encounters with life. There are seasons when you step back, Not because you are tired of people, but because you need to gather yourself. On the outside, it might look like distance. To some, it may feel like you've pulled away. But what they cannot see is the work being done in the quiet. When you withdraw, you are not shutting the door forever. You are closing it just long enough to clean the space inside. You are making room for the right conversations, room for the right energy, room for the parts of yourself that have been pushed into corners. It is easy to think that constant presence is the same as connection, that showing up every day for everyone means you are living fully. But sometimes being everywhere means you are nowhere fully. So you step back, not to punish anyone, not to disappear, but to return to your own center. You learn that stepping away is not a sign of weakness. It's a sign that you value the strength you have and you don't want to spend it carelessly. In the stillness, you start to notice things. The way your body feels when it's not rushing. The way your mind untangles itself when there's no one else's voice in the room. You begin to see what is truly yours and what you've been carrying that belongs to others. This clarity doesn't arrive in a crowd. It comes in moments of solitude, when you are brave enough to sit with the truths you've been avoiding. That's why withdrawal is preparation. You are clearing the noise so you can hear life more clearly. When you return, you will not just speak, you will speak with weight. You will speak from a place that has been tested, refined, and made whole again. The world does not understand this kind of pause. It is too used to speed, too used to constant updates and quick responses. But the soul works slowly. It needs time to absorb, to release, to transform. And this process rarely looks impressive from the outside. To others, it might look like nothing is happening, but inside, everything is happening. You are gathering light in the dark. You are letting wounds knit themselves back together. You are learning the shape of your own thoughts again. When you come back, you carry a presence that is different, grounded, clear, unshaken, because you didn't just step back, you stepped inward. The next time someone tells you that you've been distant, that you've withdrawn, you can know in your heart that it is not distance, you've chosen its depth. And depth takes time. It takes intention. It takes the courage to be misunderstood while you do the work no one can see. Withdrawal is not rejection. It is the way you prepare to meet life more fully. It is how you make sure that when you open your door again, you are ready to give something real. Not a half presence, not a distracted version of yourself, but the whole of you, the one that has rested, the one that has grown, the one that has found its center again, and that is worth waiting for. The soul speaks in silence, but we must be willing to listen. When you finally step back far enough, when the noise fades, something begins to happen. You hear it. Not a voice in the way the world speaks, not words you can write down in a hurry, but a steady pulse beneath everything. The soul doesn't shout. It doesn't demand. It waits. It has been speaking all along, but you could not hear it over the clatter of other people's expectations. Silence is where its language becomes clear. At first, it can feel strange, like the world has gone empty, like you're missing something important. But then you realize this quiet is not emptiness. It is fullness without clutter. It is the space where you can finally tell which desires are truly yours, and which ones you picked up just to belong somewhere. The soul speaks softly. It speaks in the way your chest loosens when you imagine a certain path. It speaks in the way your stomach knots when you agree to something you don't want. It speaks through longing, through resistance, through the feeling that something is off, even when everything looks right from the outside. The question is not whether your soul is speaking. The question is whether you will listen. Listening means slowing down when the world says to speed up. It means pausing when everyone else is rushing forward. It means letting moments breathe until you can hear what's beneath them. This is why some people never hear their own soul, not because they don't have one, but because they never stop long enough to listen. They fill every silence with sound, every pause with movement, every quiet room with someone else's voice, and in doing so, they live by the directions of the crowd instead of the compass inside them. But when you've withdrawn, when you've guarded your space, when you've spent time in solitude and chosen only the connections that matter, the silence feels different. It no longer feels threatening. It feels like home. You begin to notice the rhythm of your own life outside of the clock. You begin to feel when it is time to act and when it is time to wait. You stop forcing yourself to run just because others are running. You begin to trust that there is a timing written in you that cannot be rushed. And here is the secret the soul always knows. It knows when you are pretending. It knows when you are betraying yourself for approval or convenience. It knows when the life you are living has drifted away from the life you were meant to live. The silence gives it space to tell you so. It will not always tell you what you want to hear. Sometimes it will tell you to let go. Sometimes it will tell you to walk away. Sometimes it will tell you to stop waiting and finally begin. And the truth is, listening takes courage, because once you know, you cannot unknow. Once you hear the truth of your soul, you cannot go back to pretending you don't. But that is where life becomes real, not the life others expect, not the life you built just to survive, the life that feels like you. So when the silence comes, don't rush to fill it. Sit with it. Let it show you what is real. Let it tell you who you are when there is nothing to perform for. Because the moment you can live from that place, from the steady voice that speaks beneath all noise, you are no longer lost. You are no longer searching for yourself in the faces of others. You have found the ground inside you, and you know how to return to it. No matter how loud the world becomes,